Fabinho is taking the ball and analyzing the field, and he sees that pivot have an open space to take the ball, and pivot returns the ball, analyzing the field, and will do a block. And as consequence, Fabinho can pass to the Revilius or to the ala izquierdo. And now high pressing from the Barcelona's players and interesting detail with the Pito. Revilius is analyzing the field and Ernesto is going straight. And first, Pito also going with him, but then he's reading the game and close the passing lane to the pivot. Now Mateus is analyzing the field and sees that pivot have an empty space to take the ball, but Palma's defenders are reading this pass, so Antonio will do a block and Mateus succeed. And then Mateus return the ball to the Antonio and also doing the block. Now Pito taking the ball and return it to the Gauna. And again the game with the Pito. Now pivot is doing the block and Gauna can exit. Antonio is analyzing the field, Gauna closing the empty space and Mateus taking the fixer with him. And as consequence, Gauna have more space to take the ball. 1v1. And now interesting detail, instead of returning the ball, Gauna starting playing 1v1. Why? Because the distance between him and Fixer isn't small, so he can start playing 1v1, and if distance is small, Gauna better return the ball back. But in this situation, this decision is good. Adolfo is shooting, and now Protero is taking the ball and will pass to the Rick Martel. And Rick Martel is analyzing the field and close the open space. Now he passing to the Antonio and Antonio will pass to the pivot and Eric Martel is going to open space and Antonio do a block for the Eric Martel. And now paying attention how Fitz close the ball with his arm. Now Antonio is going to do a block, but Fitz demonstrating to him that he exceeds. And 1v1. And then Fitz is passing to the Rick Martel. But Palma Futsal players are reading this pass. Now Gauna taking the ball and will pass to the pivot and doing a false movement and open and the pivot returns the ball to him. And paying attention how pivot close the ball with his body. Now Gauna is open and have open space to close it. Also he can try to pass to the pivot or to the Antonio. And now pivot takes the ball and after that he returns it. Rotation from the Barcelona's players, trying to pass to the pivot and also paying attention how pivot is going to take the ball. Again, Portero is taking the ball and analyzing the field, and he can close the empty zone. And now the distance between Eric Martel and Raul Gonzalez is enough to pass to the pivot. And now also a good example when instead of return the ball, pivot turn around and shot in or play 1v1 because in this situation distance between pivot and Joao Victor isn't small, so he can do it. Set piece from the Palma Futsal and now pivot close the ball with his hand and after that return the ball to the reviews. And now the block isn't good and Adolfo is pressing Fabinho and Gauna score a goal. Rotation and now Eric is passing to the Gauna and going to the center to play with the Pito. And Eric can play wall pass because Carrasco close this passing lane. In return, Eric will do the block and Peter can exit. Now Mateus is playing 1v1 and Peter pretends to do a block. But in return, he goes straight. And gonna take one of the Vena Albalis Valdepenas players lower so Peter have more space to take the ball. And Eric sees that. Then Mateus can pass to the Eric and Eric will pass to the Peter. He's, he sees it. And now Peter returns the ball to the Gauna and Eric closes the open space. No, Eric doesn't do a block. In return, he exits and take one of the Vina Borisov Depenas players with him so Mateus can play 1v1. And now Mateus have an open space in the center. Alex Naranjo is analyzing the field and Joao Silveira will do a block. And Alex Naranjo will pass to the ala derecha and close the open space and ala derecha is going to pass to the pivot. And pivot turn back the ball 1v1 and then Alex Naranjo claims the ball and hide and block from the Joao Silveira. Pito doesn't see it and Alex Naranjo can exit. And now Joao Silveira can go to the center, but instead of that, he opens there, and then he can do a block, but watch what happens next. Good try, but it's not success. Portero is passing to the Antonio, and now very interesting detail. When Mateus is passing the ball, Antonio doesn't watching on the ball. He watching on the pivot. He analyzing the field. He doesn't need to watch on the ball. and block from the Antonio. And now, very important detail. Paying attention that Ture is watching onto the Mateus. And if he watching into the ball, he would pass to there. But when he watching into the Mateus, he sees that first Mateus is doing false movement, and the defender also going there, and then he go to the center, and Touré can pass to him there. But if Touré is watching on the ball, he didn't see that. And now Mateus will pass to the pivot, and now Mateus is open for the Antonio, and Antonio will pass to him doing false movement and open. And then very interesting detail. Now Antonio is going to the for the Mateus pass, and what Mateus should Mateus do next? In first opinion, I think why he didn't pass to the Antonio. But watch what happens next. This player play with Antonio, and he is going to him. But as consequence, he becomes a wall to this player, and Mateus can use it. And watch what happens next. And he can shot. Set piece, and now block from the Pito, and shooting from the Antonio. Portero taking the ball, maintain position, and will pass to the Antonio, or other decision. Maybe it's pass to the pivot, and then pivot returns the ball. But in this situation, he will pass to the Antonio. And now block from the pit, because maybe Portero exit, but not in this situation. Now Pito close the open space, and Antonio use it, passing to the pivot, and pivot returns the ball again, but in this way. And now Pito sees the open space, and paying attention that not only Antonio watching on the Pito, but Mateus also watching on the Pito, instead of watching to the ball. He doesn't afraid that if he doesn't watching on the ball, he doesn't take the ball. But thanks to that he watching onto the situation, but not onto the ball, he see more clever decisions. And Antonio will pass to the pivot, set piece, and now defender is watching onto the Antonio, onto the ball, and to use it and do a hiding block. And then interesting detail that Antonio doing false movement that he go to the center, and then he go to the and to again to a block for the Antonio. Alex Naranjo sees that Joao Silveira is doing the hiding block, and he sees that Pito is watching on him. Now Joao Silveira sees that Pivot have an open space to take the ball, and now Pivot is trying to pass to the open space to the Joao Silveira. But Barcelona players take the ball and now is a counter attack and paying attention on this player and what does Pito do next. Instead of passing to the Mateus, he goes straight and shooting. Set piece from the Barcelona and paying attention to the pivot, how he closed the ball with his body. And then he returns the ball to the Mateus. Now Ture is take near to him one of the vulnerable defender, Mateus Torres, and will pass to the Portero after that. And attention that Portero talking with the team, and he have an open space to go forward. Now João Victor is analyzing the field, and he sees that Fitz can go to the open space and take the ball. So João Victor is trying to pass to the Fitz, but Vinal defenders are reading this pass. And then Carrasco is passing to the Portero, and Portero returns the ball to him. But Barcelona players also took the ball, draw from the Barcelona, wall pass, and Pito sees that the distance between Catella and defender isn't small, so Pito can exit to the empty zone. Now Tura again take near to him one of the defenders and will pass to the Portero who can go forward. And he talk again and ball is returned. And now Pito is empty and Tura is passing to him and paying attention that before the pass Pito demonstrate that he can take the ball, and I think Tura sees this gesture. Now Catella taking the ball and return it to the Pito, and Pito analyzing the field and came to support his teammate and return the ball. And the rotation from the Barcelona. Ture is taking the ball and Pito is doing the block, and after that Ture can go forward, return the ball, and pivot takes the ball and waiting that this defender go near, and after that he returns the ball to the Pito. Or other decision, in my opinion, he can do that he can pass to the Catella and Catella can pass to the Ture. And it's also be a very good attack, in my opinion. What did you think? Now the distance between Ture and defender isn't small, so Pito doesn't need to do a block, so he just continue going. False movement from the Pito and rotation from the Barcelona players. And now, paying attention, the distance is small, so Ture can do a block and Pito exit. And now is one more option that Catella can also pass to the pivot, or he can exit and Pito can do a block. And Tura taking the ball, Catella is doing the block, and Tura doing false movement that he go there, but instead of that he continue going forward. And now the distance also small, so Peter is doing block and to exit. And now is false movement from the Catella to the wall pass, block, and to have an open space to take the ball and pop. He returns the ball, and now Peter is passing to the pivot, or he can exit, and after that Catella can do a block or Portero is passing and changing to the Portero jugador, high pressing from the Barca, and interesting detail in this combination that Raul Gonzalez is watching onto this player, onto the Sierra. But next, this player is pretend to take the ball there. And Raul Gonzalez also thinks so, but then this player is doing hiding block, and Sierra can exit and pass to his teammate. Let's see just how Pivot make an opportunity to score the goal with his body and his hand. First he close the open zone, and the Gauna will pass to him, and then he use his arm, not only body, and after that he can shot.